Today, we're going to be taking a look at how you can clean up data within Pandas. In fact, we're going to be dropping both rows and columns. We're also going to be creating brand new columns or series, manipulating some strings, changing data types, as well as debugging an issue. Now, the data we're going to be using today is pulled directly from ESPN. I should be showing you how to import that. And we're going to be taking a look specifically at some of the best cricket players with the highest batting averages in test matches. And with that in mind, I'm going to jump on my computer right now and let's start cleaning up some cricket data. So before we can clean up a spreadsheet, I have to grab the data. Now, I'm grabbing info from ESPN cricketinfo.com. So I'll show you guys what we can do. So I'm just going to open up a new tab over here and load this up and show you what this specifically looks like. So we have this over here, and this is different data from test matches. Now, I can't really grab this as a CSV. Some sites that have data, you can, but this one does not, right? There's no option to download it. You only have the option to really share it. But I'll show you a pretty cool trick in Excel to do this. So just grab this link, which I'm going to put in the description, and then load up Excel. So I have Excel right here. And we're going to go over to this data tab and we're going to click from web. Now it's going to take a second to load and I'll show you what to do once it does. So you have two different options, basic and advanced. I say just stick with basic and it says URL. So I'm going to enter in this URL over here and click OK. And this will also take a little bit. Okay, so after a few minutes, we have these two display options. So you have document 0 and table 1. You're going to have to click on both of them to see what populated or not. So this one just populates element HTML table and then text null. This is not what we want. But then if you go to table 0, you can see player span matches all the way over to over here, 4s, 6s, 100s, ducks, all that type of stuff. So this is what we want. And then all you're going to do is go down here to load. And then this is going to load into the spreadsheet. So now we have 63 rows loaded, which is really cool to see. And this is how it is specifically built out. And I already know there's going to be a few things that we're going to have to work on. So you can see like over here, we have some stars. And then over here, we have some dashes. We have some plus. But I'm going to update a few things in here just to make this video a little bit better. So instead of these dashes here, I'm just going to leave these as blank. That way they show up as null. And we can transform this data. I'll show you a little bit later. It's kind of interesting that these have no specific data in here, but we'll figure that out. The other thing I want to do is make a few duplicates. That way I can show you how to drop duplicate data. Sometimes it does happen when you're either extracting data or you get a spreadsheet or other form of data. Sometimes records are duplicated and you're going to have to be able to solve that. So I'm just going to copy a few different names over here. So we have the legendary Gary Sobers. I'm going to duplicate all his stuff over here. We can put that over here. Hobbs as well, very legendary. So we're going to grab Hobbs, put that over here. Probably top 5 cricket player of all time. And then let's grab one more. So let's just go over here and see who else is in this list. Grab this over here. And we have 3 that should be duplicated. And I think that'll be fine for this example. And let's do that. Oh, we'll do one more, Headley as well. Which I'm still looking for one of his cards. Friend has 2 of his. I do not. So we have 4 examples of players that have duplicated data. So now you want to save this as a CSV. So I'm just going to save as, and then I'm going to put over here. And then you're going to want to make sure to save this as a CSV. So you see cricket test match data. We see CSV dot there. And I'm just going to label this .csv like that. And we should be good on that side of things. So next we're going to want to drag this into our Jupyter. So I have this over here, the main Jupyter screen. And then I have this over here. Just on my desktop. So I'm going to drag this over here. And then you can see it says cricket test match data.csv and then click upload. And now that has been uploaded. So we can actually import this in here. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is import pandas. So I'm just going to say import pandas as PD. Always do that. And now we can import this CSV. So I'm gonna just call this df. So we're gonna say df equals pd.read CSV. And then we gotta grab the name of it. So if I just go to last modified, you can see it's like this. So I'm just gonna copy that and then throw this in here. And to make sure that this works properly, I'm just gonna do a new line and I'm just gonna put df in here. And let's do that. And you can see that this has been entered. Now, if you don't know what I'm doing to run these, instead of going over here each time, I'm just clicking Shift Enter. So that allows you to run this specific cell. Now you can see all of this data is on here, which is really nice. But the first thing I want to do is relabel a lot of these different series, or also known as columns on here. Because if I'm an outsider and I don't know everything about Cricut, I might be a little bit confused on these. Like this just says no, this is HS. Average makes sense on there. BF, SR, like what does this mean? So let's rename multiple of these. So what we're going to want to do first is type in here df.rename. And then what you're going to do is open this up in here and you're going to put columns equal, and then you're going to just build out a list, right? And what we're going to have on this side of things is the first column, right? So like no, I'm just saying like this, put single quotes, no. We're going to put a colon, and then we're going to put the actual name. So if we go back over here, right? It says no means not out. So let's put that. And what I recommend is you just do like this. Don't keep a space in there because it can get pretty annoying, but pretty easy. Now, if I run this on here, we're going to just see how this would change it, but this isn't assigned yet to the original data frame. To do that, we have to put df equals, and then we're renaming all of those. But I would like to rename multiple. So we already have that. The next one I want to rename is HS. So I'm going to put HS over here. And if we go back over here, HS is highest innings score. So we'll just put highest innings score. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So we have BF, which I think is balls faced. So we go back over here, balls faced. So again, BF. I'll put over here, balls faced. Okay. And then the next one, SR. And then we have SR over here is batting strike rate. So we put that over here. And then it's BF. Batting, and I was what? Strike rate. And that's not BF, it's SR. That's why I was like, what the heck? Strike rates. So SR like that. So now if we run this over here, just make sure match MAT for matches. I think that's, we'll put that over here too, right? So we'll say MAT like that, and we'll just put matches. Doesn't hurt to get a little bit more practice. So we have all of this now, right? And it's a little bit long, but that's all right. So I'm going to just do a Shift Enter. And since we assigned it back to our original data frame, df, we should now see this over here with the new information. So if I just put df over here, or df.head, a lot of people you'll see just put df.head, right? This will show the top 5, and you can see all this has been renamed. And obviously it's gonna be a lot longer now than what it was over here. But that's good. That means our renaming has worked. Now we're gonna check for null values. So the easiest way to do that is you can just put df, and then you can put is null like this, and then we're gonna put .any. And this is gonna show us each of the series if there's gonna be any null values specifically in it. And you can see we have 2 that are true, right? We have balls face and then batting strike rate. So I'm going to open up a few more of these cells, and let's kind of investigate that. So the easiest way that we can do is we can do df like this, and then we're inside we're going to put another df, and we're going to just put this first one balls faced, and we put that like this. And I'm just going to say that this dot is an a, which is very similar to is null, right? It's going to show true or false. So I'm just going to say equals 1. And this is going to give me the entire row output when balls faced is null. So you can see that we have two of these, right? We have Ed Weeks, batters faced, and batting strike and Walcott, just like our spreadsheet. So let's fix these. So the first one we're going to do is like this. So I'm just going to say df balls faced equals, and we're going to say the same over here, right? But this time we're going to say dot fill na, and we're just going to put a 0. Is that probably the correct way? Like 50-50. I don't know why this data didn't populate, but we'll put that in here, right? And now that's been entered. And let's do the same thing for batting strike rate. So I'm just going to put that in here. And then let's run that. And now let's run our data frame on the side of things. And for this data frame, I'm going to grab the player weeks over here. So what I want to do is put another df in here. We're going to say player, and we're going to say that is equal to, and then we're going to just grab this. And we're hoping that these two values over here are now going to be zeros. So we just put that over here, and this should give us our full row. And we have an error on here. Let's see what it is. It says player is wrong, and that's because it's supposed to be a capital P. So let's put that over here. And now you can see it's 0 for both of those. And just to play devil's advocate, let's put Walcott on here. So grab that and put this on here. And you can see that is also 0. So we successfully replaced these NAs with 0, which is good because now we can run some calculations on these columns if we really wanted to. But now I'm going to show you guys how you can drop duplicates in here. So I'm just going to remove that one cell, and we're going to open up eFew for the duplicate side of things. So what we can do first is put df.duplicated. And if we run that, you can see that most of these are going to be false, but we do have truths, and it's starting off with 4. And that makes sense because we updated that spreadsheet to have a few duplicates. So kind of like before, where we try to figure out what's NA, we're going to do the same thing with duplicated. So all you have to do on this is I'm going to say df, open this up, df, and I'm going to put player in here. Make sure it's a capital P so you don't get an error. And then I say dot duplicated like this. And we're going to say that's equal to 1, right? Like that. And then you can see we have 4 duplicates: Headley, Sobers, Hobbs, and Coley. And if you wanted to show all 8 results, all we're going to do on this case is we're going to copy this over here. Instead of dot duplicated, we're just going to put dot is in. And then what we're going to do is throw all these different players in here. So watch all I have to do. Right? So just keep going like this. And like this. So now when I run this, you can see there's going to be 8 results. So Headley, Sobers, Hobbs, and Coley. So not good, right? Or this has all been duplicated. But we can drop these now. So all you have to do is df.drop underscore duplicates. Duplicates like this. And these is going to drop the different rows. So now you only have 1 of each of these. So if we run that, you can see our data frame now is to 63, but we have to assign this back to our original data frame. So just put df equals df.drop duplicates. And then what we're going to do is run this same one as above, just to show you that there's only 4 this time. And you can see it's been cut in half. We have the one earlier, which has 8, and this time we have 4. So it is working properly. So now I would like to start manipulating some of these different columns over here and creating new columns and series. So the first thing that I would like to do is split up the span into like a start and end date, And eventually I want to do a career length as well, but we're going to do that a little bit later. So I just deleted that. Don't worry about that for now. But I don't like this span because if we wanted to pretty much find players that started like in 1930s or 40s or before a date, that's just not the most ideal way. Instead, we can have two new columns. So we're going to have to figure out how we can split the span, because if we just run this on here and just put over here like span, right, this is what our output is going to be. But luckily, there's a pretty easy way. So we can do .str like this for string, and we're going to do split. That's another thing. These are strings right now. They're not integers, which would be ideal for some calculations. So what we can do is say pattern, like PAT, and then equals, and we want to split on this over here. So just put that right here like this on the dash. And now you can see it's been split properly, right? The first part over here, we have 1928, then 1948 for Donald O'Brien, the GOAT of cricket. And then 2015, 2016, 1963, 1970. So we know that works now, but how are we going to assign, our start year or like a rookie season and then our final year? Well, let's think about that for a second. So let's say we're going to have df and we're going to create a new column. So let's say like we'll have rookie year, right? So rookie, and we'll put rookie year. So that's the first year that someone plays. And we're going to say that is equal to this over here. But to grab that first part, all we have to do is put .str 0. So that'll grab this side. And then if we wanted to grab the other side, it's going to be 1. So before I run that command, I'm just going to show you what that looks like, just to make sure that it also works too. I don't want to have a bad data frame. But you can see 0 grabs all of these on here. So it works properly. And then if I wanted to grab 1, which is going to be on the right side, right, 1948 now. So that's working properly. Let's say rookie year is at 0. And if value is trying to set in the copy slice, don't worry about that too much, right? And now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to say final season or final year, doesn't really matter. And we're going to do string of 1 and run this again. And if we go back into our data frame, you can see now we have rookie year and also final year over here. So this is working properly, which is really good to see. But we really have no need for this span anymore. So let's get rid of that. So to do that, all you're going to do is df.drop. And then what we're going to do is inside over here, we're going to put span. Oops. So span capital S, right? Because it's not lowercase. And then we have to determine what axis. So since we want the column, it's going to be axis equals 1. So axis equals 1. And then if we shift enter, you can see span is now gone. And then again, go back to your original data frame. So df equals df.drop span. And if we want to, we can go back over here, df.head. And you can see span is now gone, and we have rookie year and final year at the very end. So here's a question for you guys. There's probably a few different methods on how to fix this up, but I want to update this player. And there's a few different reasons on this. I don't like having the country code underneath on this side of things. Well, if this was expanded, it'd be over here to the right, but I just want the player name. I don't want the country. Instead, I want to have another column over here for country, so that way we can run some calculations a little bit later. So if you want to pause the video, do it right now and solve this. So essentially I want to have player, just have the player name and then another column or series that says country. Otherwise, I'm going to just show you a pretty similar way to like what I did over here to be able to accomplish this. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to be lazy and copy this code over here and show you exactly. So this time we're looking at this over here. So we got to change it like this, right? And I'm not going to do both sides. We're going to run this twice. So you can see what happens on there. And I get an error because I meant to put player, not span. So you put player in here. And then you can see, great, we have Donald Bradman that is working correctly on the left. The right is not working fully yet, but that's okay. So what we're going to do on this side of things is first we're going to name the country. So we're going to say df country, and that's going to be equal to, and I'm just going to copy this here. And like last time, one is going to put over here to the right. So I'm going to just say str1, and we run that, and we just can do df country like this, right? We have this going on, and we can fix that a little bit better. So all we need to do again is kind of like the same command as earlier. So I'll show you how that works. So we can just do df country like this, and we're going to do .string split. And this time we're going to do the right side since we did the left last time. And you can see now we just want to grab the left. So we can just say that's string 0. So grab string 0. And I'm just going to say that country equals that. And then if we run df country, right, we have that working. So it's good. But we still need to fix the player on here, because if we run player, it's still going to show the country code. We run that, and I'm just going to put a few more over here. Right, we still see the country, but I kind of show you how to do it a little bit earlier. So if we go like this, all we have to do now is assign it back to df player. So df player like that, and I'm just going to copy it instead of typing it all out, equals this. And then if we just run our data frame again, so df.head like that, you can see we have player, which the country code is gone, but all the way at the very end we do have the country. So working great right now. This data is already looking way cleaner. But next we need to fix up these data types because they're not all going to be correct. So all you have to do to see the data types on here is put df.dtypes like this. And then if we run that, you can see player is an object, matches is also an object, which I think this should be an int, not that. So we might have to fix that. We have some integers over here, which is good. Highest inning score is an object also, so that should be an int. Then balls face and batting strike rate. So batting strike rate should probably be a float, not an object. Balls face, that's a singular number, but that should be an int. But you can see that we have some issues with that plus over there. All these are ints, which is good. Rookie year, final year should both be ints, and then country is fine like that. So we have some work to do, right? We got to figure out why it's not working properly. So let's take a look at one example over here. So the first one I want to take a look at, since it's pretty obvious, is this highest in score. So that's this one over here. It says it's an object. So the reason why it's an object is if you see this star. So the data for these stars, if you go back over here just to take a look, we have a star right there, multiple stars over here. And I'm trying to see why it mentioned that there's a star in there, but it doesn't say anything why that star is in there. So I'm just going to remove it. So if we go back over here, let's go back to what we did also, like this string split. So currently this does work as a string, but we can fix that. So copy your code on here. And what we're going to do is grab this highest in score, right? And we're going to string split. And this time we're just going to put a star, right? And put it like this. Now this doesn't look like it's working properly because it has that comma, but if you remember from before, the comma is just going to show you where it's splitting at, and the second part is to the right. And since we are splitting on that star, it's just going to have a blank on that side of things. So if we put .str0, so like this, it should show everything properly. So just run that for a second. And you can see that star is now gone. So again, kind of like earlier, let's just assign it to itself. So we just put that over here, equals that. And now this is going to be working properly. We can just copy and paste this here. You can see it's gone, right? We had it originally at 269, but 269 is like that. So it's cool. Now we need to specifically say that it's going to be an integer. So the way you can do that is .as type like this and just call an int in here, right? So int on here. And you can see down here, it says D type is int32 now instead of object where it was before. So now we just have to assign it once again back to where it was. So inning score equals that. That's going to be gone. Now just put df.dtypes. And you can see highest inning scores now is an int 32. Okay, so question for you guys. Let's see if you can fix the rookie year and final year. So if you remember from earlier, we built out those new columns, rookie year and first year. So see if you can convert those. I'm actually going to show you a pretty cool shortcut on how to do that. So all I have to do is df equals df.asType like this. And inside over here, what we're going to do is build out a list. So I'm just going to say rookie year. And then I can say colon, we're going to say this is int. And we can do the same thing with final year. Just put that over here. Final year. And then if we just run the data frame again for df.dtypes, you can see that both of these are int. So we have 3 more that we need to work on now. So we still have matches, we still have balls faced, and then we have batting strike rate. So if we just take a look real quick at batting strike rate, so I'm just gonna put df.head. Batting strike rate needs to be a float, so a little bit different. So again, we can just kind of do, just copy this over here and grab the batting strike rate. And then we're just gonna enable this as a float. And does not work. It says could not convert string to float. So we'll have to take a look at that a little bit later. So let's still convert matches. So like this, right? Just copy this one over here. I'll put matches as type int. And we have an issue, 98 stars. So we haven't got rid of everything with the stars yet, or like kind of weird formatting, but that shouldn't be too hard. We can just copy this on here for highest innings. And what we're going to do is just matches, right? Matches, that'll grab the left side of it. And then we build out a few other lines. Let's copy this over here. And it should fix matches now. So if we run df.dtypes, so object for player, right? That's fine. Of all the ints over here, balls face is still an object. Batting strike rate is still an object. And then we have integers over here besides country. So we still need to fix balls faced and also batting. So for balls faced, let's see. We have this plus icon over here. So let's split that out. So just grab that over here like this. Spaced. And we're going to put a plus icon this time. So that should solve that. If we just copy this, and we're having an issue. So this could not convert float NaN to integer. I thought we converted all the NaNs. Let's just go back over here and see why that's the case. So if you remember from earlier with our code, we have it right over here. So let's see what's going on. So balls face does have a null still, which might have happened when we were doing this string split. So I'm just gonna copy this, and honestly, it might just be best that we drop those rows if we get some issues still. So we're just gonna copy the same code we wrote earlier and see what's going on, right? Because we're solving issues with balls face. And it looks like balls face is an NaN again. So I thought we set that to a 0. Not sure why that's still happening, right? So could be from this, but so let's try this. We're gonna say again to fill NA as 0. So I'm gonna put another line, and we're gonna just see if this still exists. And there's none in there, but we're still getting an error. It says invalid literal. So we're still having errors. So I put a pd.set option, display max rows none. I'm gonna take a look and see why we're getting an error. So we're gonna look at balls face. So we have this on here, and it looks like we have all integers. Oh, here we go. So FS Jackson, we have this going on. And then you can see also we have that for batting strike rate. Did we miss that earlier? Or how did that happen? You know what happened? I think when we were in an Excel sheet and we removed those, we forgot FS Jackson. So you can see, remove that. So let's remove that row. And that is why we've been having so many issues, man. So now we're gonna drop this FS Jackson. So all you have to do is df.drop, and then it is number 56. I'm gonna say axis equals 0, like that. And just say df equals that. I think that should have dropped it. So we run df again. You can see 56 is gone. So now the nightmare of getting these fixed should be done. So let's just go back and see. We'll first check if we have any other is nulls, right? So first, all false. Okay, and we already see this over here, which is good. So now let's just fix these last two, right? And we had the df type, which was right here. Run that again. And balls face in batting strike record. So let's just copy our code from earlier. Man, small mistake goes a long way, right? So balls face, this needs to be an int. I'll just grab that. This should work perfect now. And it does, right? And we'll do the batting strike rate as float. And check that out. That worked too. Let's run this one more time. df.dtypes. And all of the fee types are working properly. So now we can actually answer some of these questions. Before that though, we want to do one last thing. So find the career length. So all I'm going to do on this one is df career length. And that's going to be equal to df final year, df final year minus df rookie year. And if we just run this data frame again, you can see our final year over here, career length, we have 21.7. So we can start answering some of these questions down below. So question 1, I want to see the cricketers in this data frame. What is the average career length? And we just solve this over here. So all we have to do is df, and then all you're going to do is dot mean, right? If we run that, the average career length is 13 years. And since this is some of the best cricketers out there, it makes sense why 13 is the answer. Question 2 is average batting strike rate for cricketers who played over 10 years. So you can do a few different ways. So the first one, we can just do like this, pretty easy. So what we're going to do is play for 10 years. So df career length, right? Throw that in the middle. Has to be greater than 10. So put 10 in here. And then what we are grabbing specifically is the average batting strike rate. So we go back into these columns. We have batting strike rate. So just copy that. And this will first show us, let me put single quotes around it, all the batting strike rates for all these people, right? And just put over here, dot mean, and it is 49. Question 3, find the number of cricketers who played before 1960. Pretty easy. So df, we're going to put df, we're going to say rookie year, and we're going to say that's before 1960. And we have an error, and the reason we have an error is because that is not correct. And you can see all these over here, the cricketers. But now if you wanted to find it like a specific count, you could just throw dot count at the end. It would show you the count of each of these columns. You could also just do something like this. You could do like player that counts, and you can see 22 show up. So next we're going to do a group by. So it says max highest inning score by country. So if you guys remember, we built out this country over here. So this is why we did that. So df that group by, right? And then we're going to group by the country. I think it was capital C. Just want to check. Yeah, capital C, right? Highest inning score. So we have this over here. So just grab it, that, and then just put dot max. So dot max, and you can see specifically how these rank. But if you wanted to sort them, I'm just going to say 2 frame first, and we're going to say this is high innings country, something like that. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. And then reset index, that, and then dot sort values, and then just throw this in here, right? And then you can see how that works. But if you want to change the direction, you can say ascending equals false, and then there we go. And lastly, I just want to see the hundreds, 50s, and ducks average by country. So we can actually copy a lot of this over here. I'm just going to copy this. And then first we're going to change this into mean. And then this needs to be changed. So since we're grabbing multiple series now, I'm going to do it like that. And first one's going to be 100. Next we're going to have 50. Next we're going to have 0. And then dot mean like that. And then you can see the average for each of these different countries. Hope you found this video helpful, and also you learned a few new things. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I really recommend though that you check out this video over here where we solve some Python interview questions because it mainly uses pandas.